Alexi Venneri, co-founder, CEO, DAS Technology. Alexi, welcome to the show.
Hi, Sam. How are you? It's been so
You,
long since I've seen you.
it's been at least 30 minutes, and thank you for hosting here in this beautiful place. You've got quite the setting behind you. And actually, before I ask the question of how's biz, why does a company like DAS bring dealers into a spot like this? Like, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful forum. You know, there's a ton to do. What's the thought process with that?
Sure. Well, I've been in the automotive industry a very, very long time. And I was very fortunate to work at some great companies who's calling Dealer Truck. I worked with Larry Van Tile at the Van Tile Group.
Yes, you
And,
did.
I saw the value of 20 groups, right?
Yeah.
We do have, for the most part, a remote account management model. And I just always wanted to get to know our clients, our dealers. And often even if you do visit them in the stores, as you guys all know, you're so busy,
Yeah.
and you're distracted. And I really personally, as well as our team, really wanted time with our clients or dealers to learn about their challenges, find new ways we could help them, build new technologies. So it's sort of an advisory board with a product focus group, but ultimately, and we do call it the Ultimate 20 group, it's a chance for our dealers that attend to network with each other. They're in non-competitive markets and really spend some dedicated time just sharing best practices. So it is
Yeah.
amazing. We do try to find the most amazing, incredible resorts because we know how valuable their time is. And it's worked out. This is our eighth one we've done over the past, it's about 5 years.
Yeah. And you can only invite a certain number of dealers to an event like this. So we're going to talk at the end of our time together about a way that those that may want the experience or at least get some of the insights, they can go to a website. They can actually watch some of the best practices that are shared. Because to your point, I've seen it, and I've seen it throughout my career when you've got 4 or 5 different dealers standing side by side. Things happen, right? Conversations happen where they're like, hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to implement it. I'm going to go do that. And as long as they've got that commitment to execution, they can actually turn that idea into dollars vis-a-vis the execution. So, all right, how's biz, Alexi? And then as part of that, tell us a little bit about who you are and your role at DOS Technology.
Sure, thank you. Business is great in a way that I know this has been kind of a hard year for everybody. I'm having flashbacks to the Great Recession, which is when we
Don't say
started.
that. No, I'm kidding. You can say
I
that.
know, but but COVID. But I have a
Yeah.
but I feel like
Yeah.
we're getting through it. There,
Yes.
anytime there's economic uncertainty, whatever it is,
Yeah.
consumers kind of pull back. Maybe they hold on that car a little longer. Maybe they think they
Yeah.
don't need that repair. So we've seen that, but I feel like it's getting better. Interest rates coming down. Let's
Yeah.
hope they come down more. It certainly helps. So we work with thousands of dealers nationwide, and we are fortunate to hear from them and then adjust strategies and leverage our technology in different ways to help them no matter what the economy is doing, still make money, right? Are we, we're hearing that consumers maybe want more pre-owned, or maybe they're servicing a few more times before they buy. So
Yeah.
we're happy to work with them, and we all know you learn the most during tougher times than when things are easy.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, and we've really had a good year, and I do think our dealers are excited about the future.
All right. What you've built this DOS technology into one of the more recognized names in automotive tech. What sparked the idea for its formation for you?
Thanks for asking. I had worked at tech companies as I mentioned before, and I was lucky to be approached.
So we're going to get that. There you go.
Was interesting because really getting the data, having all brands, a lot of markets across the country. It was interesting to just see what was happening. And again, this was, I was doing that well before I started DAS, and it became Digital Airstrike. But at the time,
Yeah.
I saw what was going on with social media. And for the first time, if a consumer had a problem with you or any business, it wasn't just between you and the store and a few people they would tell. They would broadcast it online, and it became a
Yeah.
negative billboard. So I wanted to build technology to help our dealers harness the value of that billboard in social media. And so the recession hit, and again, dealers didn't maybe want to spend a lot of money. So we found ways to leverage technology to engage with consumers and not just run around and spend a lot on media buys. So that's where it started. And I think really working for a large dealership group, and with those dealers gave me like a PhD and truly understanding how to be a partner to our dealers and not just a vendor. So it
Yeah.
started there. And then we really wanted to build a platform and a process for excellent, customer experience that wasn't just you had to switch a tool or change the technology. So we want to be
Yeah.
Switzerland and Intel inside. We'll work with all the dealers on all the existing vendors and tools they have and just find ways to make them work better and harder for not just the dealer, but really so those consumers have a better experience.
Yeah, in fact, you've given insight. So there's a couple of things that are going through my mind. You gave some great insight. You kind of were early onto the social media scene, and you leveraged the opportunity early. Low cost, high impact, right? You were able to, and one of the things you now are able to do, we ask everybody on the show today, we say, who's your best digital lead provider? When you look at all the different providers, who provides the best converting leads? And you've actually got some technology that enables a dealer to very quickly say, I know the answer to that, and I can say that, and therefore I can better put my money into the places where it spends. What is that technology, and how does that work?
Sure. Well, as a lifelong marketer myself, everybody is going to they're getting you great results. There'll be a report or a certain way they look at the data. But at the end of the day, you really need to understand that for yourself. And it is different for different markets and different dealers and different brands. What
Yeah,
we've done, which is interesting, is we actually integrate with all lead providers and the dealer's CRM and the DMS. And we treat all leads, we assume they're equal. But then we use data and AI to target each consumer with very specific communication that is relevant for them. So Sam, you saw the 2022, Land Rover, and you're
yeah,
thinking about trading it in, or should you
yeah,
just service it again?
yeah,
And your message is going to be very different than, let's say, Jane, in another part of the city, that she did just buy a car, but there's maybe a recall.
yeah,
And you don't want to message her until parts are in stock. So whatever it is, and maybe she's messaging. So whatever, the consumer and the data that we can pull together, we will send them very specific messages. So chances are, hopefully, if they're a legitimate prospect and lead, they will respond. And by
yeah.
doing that, we actually see in real time who's engaging with the leads the dealers are getting. And we have a report that will tell the dealers, yes, this lead source sent you 300 leads last month. But did you know only 12% did anything when we reached out? So it
Mm,
takes away the subjectivity of the salesperson that maybe said, oh, that was a bogus lead, but did the
yeah.
salesperson really follow up, right? So
So,
they can still do that. We still want those wonderful people in your stores following up, but we kind of are very objective in it. And then that's a real-time report our dealers can look at. And then we take it all the way through to show, closed ROs and sales. Now, there might be multiple leads that could take some credit for that or touch points, but it really levels the playing field. And we usually say to our dealers, hey, we want to assume that you've picked great vendors to help you drive traffic. Let's nurture all the leads. And then maybe you want to
yeah.
adjust how much you spend in each category and continually work harder partnering with all your other vendors to get you the best results.
So, as a big company, do you have a perspective on who the most productive digital leads are nationwide in automotive? Dare you say this? Dare you speak the name of the company?
Well,
As
again, it really
Switzerland?
depends on. Yeah, we're Switzerland. We will tell the dealers. I mean,
Yeah,
we become this consultant and partner,
yeah,
and sometimes it might be the messages, right? If you don't
yeah,
have a way to test different messages to target those leads, you might get different results. But that's why what we do. I get excited because again, as a lifelong marketer, it was always a little nerve-wracking just to rely on your sales team to follow up.
yeah,
Yes, let them follow up, but we're that insurance policy that continues to nurture. And we do know when a salesperson follows up, and we do know when a consumer is even looking at something we've sent them. And then we'll message that salesperson. We want them part of the process. We want them to pick up the phone and call. But it really, I think, frees up your sales team to do what they usually do best, which is that belly to belly, person to person or on the phone
yeah,
communication, test
yeah,
drives, and we free them up so they're not so chained to the desk, right? And they
yeah,
also get really cool insights. We want them to know that a consumer clicked on this message about this particular vehicle. Maybe they started as a new car lead and now they're pre-owned, right? Did they do some financing, payment calculations The salesperson might want to know that. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of really helpful information that I actually think we help all the lead providers, more of them close.
Yeah.
Because there might be a great lead in there that someone doesn't follow up on. And do you really know when that happens as the GM or head of the BDC?
So you provide dealers with that transparency and that kind of peek behind the curtains of knowing exactly what's going on, where to invest money better. You use a lot of technology, AI driven, some of it. You've been on social for a long time. You're coming into this AI driven world. There's a message you delivered today that I thought was super fascinating. Most dealers have a social media or have an employee code of conduct, right? There's a policy that most dealers are missing. Tell us, what are they missing and why is it important to relook at this
Well,
in
I've learned
2025?
it's two policies. Back in the day, one of the things we started with is just helping every one of our dealers. We didn't charge them. We would help them with a social media policy because, again, back in the day when we started, there weren't even business pages. There were no social ads, but we would find sort of rogue salespeople sometimes. They're aggressive and they would steal the dealership's name and create their own pages or try to take leads going right to their cell phone, which weren't traceable. So we still have today a social media policy. If anybody wants it, let us know. You can go to the Ultimate 20 group. That's one of the best practices we're sharing. No cost. We're not selling that. But that's where it started. And now today what I'm finding is dealers don't know about having an AI policy. So
That's
this is
crazy.
not,
We've never heard this before on the show. An AI policy.
yes, please. And this is not something we're selling. We do it for ourselves at DAS Technology Digital Airstrike. So
Okay.
what's happening now with AI, you probably have this. You've got some creative people that are using AI maybe in their personal life,
Yeah.
ChatGPT, and they've
Sora,
maybe found
video
ways to,
generating. Yeah.
yeah, they found some cool ways to help their job be easier using it. You want to control that for compliance, security, but also so you get the benefit of scale. So be great to get your employees together, see who's using it. You got to monitor it. You probably need a way that they can't just download. There's a lot of different apps and tools today that have free trials. You don't want them just putting that on your work computers and on your network. And the biggest tip I can tell you that has to be in the policy, we've built for our own company an interface. It's called a single pane, where when we choose to use any sort of enterprise is the keyword, AI tools, we keep all of our dealers' data, your customers' data on our cloud network. We're not just uploading it into whatever free, AI tool or app, even ChatGPT, Perplexity, any of those, because suddenly you've now allowed your data and your customers' data to be on a public network. And as you know, you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
So there's some things in that policy that we have. We can certainly help the dealers with, and it's also just education and training. Reminds me so much of social media when it first was, getting going.
So your advice to dealers is implement an AI policy. And as part of that, you've got to clarify you cannot upload NPPI, non-public personal information, customer data, financial data, because there is a risk. Are there stories of that data, how it could get out there, or precautionary? Or I mean, it's such a new frontier, Alexi.
There is. We're actually, a lot of the vendors we're working with, we're helping them or we've seen them create these policies. I don't know, and I don't want to broadcast this to some class action lawsuit
Yeah, yeah,
lawyers,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
attorneys out there, but
yeah.
we've seen it in other, there's state specific rules. You got to really be careful. Plus, that is your data. I'm a huge fan and always been a huge proponent of our dealers' data is their data, right? And they should use it for their benefit. Same thing, you don't want an employee somehow using some tool and taking all your leads and going to work for the dealer down the street. So there's a lot of things we just education wise want to help, the industry. The other thing we've done too is in our product, we've got some very cool ways we've now integrated AI to help with that one-to-one messaging. But again, every dealer has to approve it, right? The OEMs, we work with all the OEMs. We're very transparent. We've created some really cool things that we do, but we're very open about it one-to-one with our OEMs, our partners, our dealers around exactly how it works, and they can set preferences. We don't want AI gone wild. And
Yeah.
but we want to use it
AI
because there's
gone
so many
wild. That's
amazing ways
great.
you can use it now to get a
Yeah.
lot more engagement and sales,
Yeah.
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 All right. So let's step back from AI and tech and whatnot and look, are there metrics that every general manager watching, every dealer watching, thinks about, hey, how do I best spend dollars on marketing? How do I best spend dollars to get those leads? What are the most important metrics that every GM or dealer or marketing director should be looking at monthly to make smarter decisions about vendors and dollar ad spend?
Well, I usually, when I talk to our dealers, I first want to look at engagement on the leads. And it's also just data in your database, right? Inbound leads, fresh prospects, great, but also who do you have in your database? Either CRM that maybe didn't close, or in your DMS. And we like to do identity resolution on that data first. We like to take it and like clean it up for dealers. I've got a story. One of our awesome dealers, talked to me about, just by us doing that, they still send service mailers that work for them, but he was able to save $16,000 a month just in not sending out duplicate mailings. Because however, these other vendors that were doing postcards or whatnot, they were just grabbing all the data and sending it, right? They actually make more money when you send
Yeah.
more, and it wasn't worth it. By also cleaning up your data, again, whether or not you work with an outside vendor, us or anyone else, maybe more of the messaging you need to send, and you should like target different groups based on that. And that way, every dollar you're spending, you'll just go further. You'll get more results. But what we do in our tool is we allow the dealers to put in the budget. And once we know we've got a way to engage with the humans, whether they're existing customers, old leads, new leads, then we like to put that budget number in there and look at that engagement. And then we just work with the dealers. And full transparency, we do have an awareness side of our business where we can drive leads too. We have our data in there too. We're not always maybe number one. Maybe we're the third best source that converts on the actual, programs we're running, maybe on social media or streaming.
So last up question here. You're talking a little bit about a CDP, right? Cleansing data, putting it into a
Yes.
CDP, short-term, longer-term, a data lake. What percent of dealers, if you had to venture a guess based on everybody you work with, what percentage of dealers have done that CDP data cleansing?
Such a good question. The clarifier I would add to that is they might be paying someone to have access to a CDP, but
Yeah.
most of the ones out there, it requires someone in the dealership doing something, going
Yeah.
in, running the campaign, someone that's well versed to do some of that cleansing of the data. A lot of dealers that have a CDP don't do that. So from day one, we'll do it for the dealers. We have to go in and do it. We'll share with you strategies. We'll work together on campaigns. But even if you don't ever log in, we want to do it for you because we do have the experience and we do work with thousands of dealers. So I would say conservatively, maybe about 20% of dealers might have a tool. If they're left to have to run it themselves, it's not getting used. It's not getting used properly. You're your own little silo, your island. You really need people that will help you with that. So we're not just tech, we're a team. Our team is very passionate about helping the dealers get results.
But even as you do that, it's still the dealer's data in that CDP, right? They still own that. They still have
100%.
access to it. You're just hoping to keep it cleansed, keep
100%.
it updated, all that stuff. So
Yep.
I'll
And
tell
they can
you,
go in anytime. We find they
yeah,
just don't. So
yeah,
we're like, that's great.
yeah,
We're protecting it. It's your baby. We'll
yeah,
make sure we're working
yeah.
with that data to get you results.
Well, Alexi Venneri, CEO, DOS Technology, and co-founder. Thanks for sharing an incredible experience here south of the border. Everybody will notice we've had a few laughs online about Mexico Wi-Fi, and that might be part of your strategy. It's like you get dealers a little bit disconnected, and then you can actually share things without a lot of cell phone interruptions. I don't know if there's anything into that, but very cool experience, and it's a beautiful place behind you and a great setting. So thanks for hosting the experience and for sharing these best practices and making these dealers available to us today, Alexi.
Thank you.